What's going on? Wrestling vs. Family. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're just clicking on this video right now, you need to sit down because we are about to break down one of the most shocking, most brutal, most unexpected backstage attacks in recent WWE memory. Hit that subscribe button immediately because what Jimmy Uso just did to Drew McIntyre has completely changed the landscape of the heavyweight championship picture. Jimmy Uso, one half of the legendary Usos. A man who's been dealing with betrayal from his own twin brother. And Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, a former WWE champion who's been fighting his way back to the top. These two just collided in the most violent way possible, and it all went down backstage in a brutal attack that has left Drew's championship aspirations in jeopardy and has everyone asking the same question: why did Jimmy do it? What led to this vicious assault? Was Jimmy acting alone, or is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? And what does this mean for the heavyweight championship match that Drew was preparing for? We're breaking down every detail, analyzing the motivations, and predicting where this explosive situation goes next. But first, absolutely demolish that like button, drop your reactions in the comments, and let's jump into this incredible story. To understand why this attack is so significant, we need to talk about where both Jimmy Uso and Drew McIntyre are in their respective WWE journeys right now. These are two superstars at completely different points in their careers, dealing with completely different challenges, and nobody saw any reason why their paths would cross in such a violent manner. Drew McIntyre has been on an absolute tear lately. After years of ups and downs, after winning and losing the WWE Championship, after proving himself time and time again as one of the toughest competitors in the company, Drew was finally getting another shot at heavyweight championship glory. He had earned his opportunity through hard-fought victories, through showing up week after week and delivering incredible performances, through never giving up on his dream of becoming champion once again. The Scottish Warrior was in peak physical condition, mentally focused, and ready for the biggest match of his recent career. Everyone backstage was talking about how dialed in Drew was, how his training had been phenomenal, how he was treating this championship opportunity like it was the most important thing in his life. Drew wasn't taking anything for granted. He knew this might be his last real chance to reclaim the gold, and he was going to give everything he had. Jimmy Uso, meanwhile, has been in a completely different mental space. After his twin brother Jay betrayed him at the Battle Royal, Jimmy's world was turned upside down. The person he trusted most in this world, his own flesh and blood, had chosen personal ambition over family loyalty. That kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt, it fundamentally changes who you are as a person. Jimmy has been wrestling with anger, confusion, and a desperate need to understand why his brother would do something so unforgivable. Since the betrayal, Jimmy has been somewhat directionless. He's shown up to arenas, he's competed in matches, but there's been a darkness about him that wasn't there before. The Jimmy Uso who always smiled, who loved performing for the fans, who found joy in tag team wrestling with his brother, that Jimmy is gone. What's left is someone bitter, someone angry, someone looking for a way to channel all that pain and rage into something productive or, in this case, something destructive. The attack itself happened in one of the most shocking ways possible. According to multiple sources and the footage that WWE has released, Drew McIntyre was backstage preparing for his heavyweight championship match. He was in his locker room area, going through his pre-match routine, getting his mind right for the biggest opportunity he's had in months. Drew was completely focused on the task ahead, visualizing his victory, preparing to walk out of the arena as the new champion. That's when Jimmy Uso struck. The attack came out of nowhere, with Jimmy ambushing Drew when the Scottish Warrior was most vulnerable. There was no warning, no confrontation beforehand, no words exchanged, just pure violence. Jimmy came at Drew with bad intentions, and the assault was brutal from the very first moment. The details of the attack are disturbing. Jimmy didn't just throw a few punches and leave. He was trying to hurt Drew, trying to injure him, trying to make sure that Drew couldn't compete in his championship match. We're talking about chair shots, strikes to Drew's injured areas, targeting his back and his legs to take away his power and mobility. Jimmy was methodical in his assault, focusing on the parts of Drew's body that the Scottish Warrior needs to be effective in the ring. Drew tried to fight back, of course. You don't become a multiple-time world champion by being easy to take down. Drew was throwing hands, trying to create distance, trying to defend himself against the onslaught. But the element of surprise gave Jimmy too much advantage. By the time Drew could mount any real defense, significant damage had already been done. The sound of the commotion brought WWE officials, road agents, and other wrestlers rushing to the scene. What they found was chaos. Drew McIntyre laid out on the concrete floor, holding his ribs and his back, clearly in serious pain. Jimmy Uso was being pulled away by security, still trying to get at Drew, screaming something that witnesses couldn't quite make out but was clearly filled with rage and emotion. Medical staff immediately attended to Drew, assessing the damage and trying to determine whether he could still compete in his scheduled championship match. The panic in everyone's eyes was real. If Drew couldn't compete, the entire main event of the show would need to be changed on the fly. Championship matches don't happen every week, and having to postpone or cancel one because of a backstage attack would be a massive problem for WWE. Drew, showing the toughness that has defined his entire career, refused to be taken to the medical facility. He was insisting that he could still compete, that nothing Jimmy did was going to stop him from getting his championship opportunity. But you could see it in his body language. Drew was hurt. The attack had done real damage, and even if Drew's mind was telling him he could fight, his body might not cooperate when the time came. The big question everyone is asking is, why did Jimmy Uso attack Drew McIntyre? On the surface, these two don't have any obvious beef. They haven't been feuding. They haven't had conflicts over championships or storylines. They haven't exchanged heated words in promos. So what would motivate Jimmy to risk suspension, fines, and his reputation by launching such a vicious assault? The most popular theory is that Jimmy is lashing out at the world because of what happened with Jay. When you're betrayed by the person closest to you, when your entire identity as one half of a legendary tag team is ripped away, you can become unpredictable. Jimmy might have attacked Drew not because of anything Drew did, but because Drew represents success, represents someone achieving their dreams, represents everything that Jimmy has lost since his brother turned on him. There's also speculation that Jimmy might be working for someone else. What if this attack wasn't random at all? What if whoever is defending the heavyweight championship against Drew paid Jimmy to take Drew out? What if the bloodline, in some capacity, orchestrated this to prevent Drew from winning the title? Jimmy might be acting as a mercenary, using his pain and anger as fuel to do someone else's dirty work in exchange for money, revenge, or a promise of future opportunities. Another theory involves jealousy and resentment about the singles spotlight. Jimmy has been in tag team wrestling his entire career, always sharing the spotlight with Jay. Maybe seeing someone like Drew get multiple chances at the heavyweight championship, while Jimmy has never been positioned for that level of singles success, created resentment that finally boiled over. This attack could be Jimmy's twisted way of saying that if he can't have championship opportunities, then he'll make sure others can't either. The immediate aftermath of the attack created massive chaos for WWE officials. They had to make a decision. Does Drew McIntyre still compete in his championship match? Do they postpone the match to a later date? Do they substitute a different challenger? Every option had significant downsides and would disappoint fans who had been looking forward to this championship match. Ultimately, Drew McIntyre made the decision himself. Despite the pain, despite the injury, despite everyone telling him it might not be wise, Drew insisted on competing. The Scottish Warrior has never backed down from a fight in his life, and he wasn't about to start now. He told WWE officials that he would be in that ring for his championship match, and nothing Jimmy Uso did was going to stop him from chasing his dream. But here's the reality. Drew was compromised. His ribs were hurt, his back was stiff, his mobility was limited. Going into a championship match at anything less than 100% is dangerous, especially against a top-level opponent who will definitely target those injured areas once they realize Drew is hurt. Jimmy's attack didn't just cause immediate pain, it potentially cost Drew his best chance at winning the championship. The championship match itself, when it finally happened, told the story of Drew's toughness but also the effectiveness of Jimmy's assault. Drew came out fighting with everything he had, showing incredible heart and determination. But throughout the match, you could see him favoring his ribs, wincing when he took certain moves, struggling with power maneuvers that would normally be easy for someone of his strength. The champion, whoever Drew was facing, absolutely exploited those weaknesses. Every time Drew showed any sign of weakness, the champion targeted that area with strikes, submission holds, and power moves designed to break Drew down further. What might have been a competitive back and forth battle became an uphill struggle for Drew, fighting not just against his opponent but against his own injured body. There were moments where Drew's resilience shone through. Near falls where he almost captured the championship despite his injuries, signature moves that got the crowd on their feet believing Drew might actually pull off the impossible victory. But ultimately, the damage from Jimmy's attack was too much to overcome. Drew fell short of winning the championship, and you could see the devastation on his face. He had come so close, had fought so hard, but Jimmy Uso's backstage assault had cost him everything. The aftermath of the championship match saw Drew McIntyre barely able to stand as he made his way backstage. The physical toll of competing while injured, combined with the emotional devastation of losing his championship opportunity, left the Scottish Warrior looking defeated in a way we rarely see. And somewhere in that same building, Jimmy Uso was watching, whether with satisfaction at successfully sabotaging Drew's moment or with his own complicated emotions about what he had done. The ramifications of this situation are massive for WWE going forward. First and foremost, Drew McIntyre is absolutely going to want revenge on Jimmy Uso. You don't attack Drew backstage and cost him a championship opportunity without consequences. Drew is going to hunt Jimmy down, and when these two finally collide in the ring, it's going to be brutal. We're talking about a blood feud, the kind of rivalry built on genuine animosity and the desire to hurt someone who wronged you. Jimmy, meanwhile, has opened up an entirely new chapter in his WWE story. Whether he attacked Drew on his own or on someone's orders, he's now a marked man. Drew isn't the only one who will be looking for Jimmy. WWE officials will want answers, other wrestlers will be wary of him, and Jimmy's actions have painted a target on his back that won't be easy to remove. There's also the question of how this affects the Bloodline storyline and Jimmy's relationship with Jay. Does Jay care that his brother just attacked Drew McIntyre? Does this bring the twins back together in some twisted way, or does it push them further apart? If Jimmy was acting on orders from someone within the Bloodline power structure, how does that complicate the family dynamics that are already strained to the breaking point? And that's where we are right now, wrestling vs. family. Jimmy Uso launched a brutal backstage attack on Drew McIntyre, costing the Scottish Warrior his heavyweight championship opportunity and creating one of the most shocking moments of the year. This is the kind of unpredictable storytelling that keeps us all glued to our screens, never knowing what's going to happen next. What do you think? Why did Jimmy attack Drew? Was he working alone or for someone else? What should happen when Drew gets his hands on Jimmy? Drop all your thoughts and theories in the comments below. I want to hear every prediction and every reaction to this insane situation. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most shocking backstage attacks in WWE history, go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe to Wrestling Verse and turn on notifications because we'll be covering every development in this story as Drew hunts for revenge and Jimmy deals with the consequences of his actions. Thank you so much for watching, Wrestling Verse family. This is exactly the kind of dramatic, unpredictable storytelling that makes WWE must-watch television. Until next time, stay locked into the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.